Somewhat hidden away between the villages of Heino and Weijen is het Nijenhuis Castle, one of the best preserved manor houses in Overijssel. Over a period of more than 600 years, various influential and noble families lived in het Nijenhuis. They managed to keep the estate strictly under private ownership until almost the middle of the 20th century. The last occupant of het Nijenhuis was Dirk Hannema, former director of Museum Boijmans and a passionate art collector. It was Hannema who turned het Nijenhuis into a museum and opened the castle to the public in 1958. He continued to take visitors on tours of his private rooms, showing them his cherished artworks until late in life. Although het Nijenhuis has withstood the ravages of time well, the castle's appearance changed a great deal over the centuries. The oldest fragments of the current castle date back to the middle of the 15th century. This was the time when the knightly family van Ittersum inherited het Nijenhuis. At the end of the 17th century, Robert van Ittersum married Eleonora Sophia Bentinck. This marriage gave him valuable contacts with the House of Orange-Nassau. Van Ittersum was appointed bailiff of Salland, the highest office in Overijssel, by stadholder William III. The social success of Robert van Ittersum can still be seen at het Nijenhuis. During the last quarter of the 17th century, the castle was given a new facade. Moats were dug around it, and a forecourt was constructed with a barn on either side. Van Ittersum embellished the surrounding gardens, and the inside of the castle was adorned with marble fireplaces, stucco ceilings, and a new staircase. On one of the beautiful ceilings, a glorification of William III can still be seen, the king and stadholder to whom Van Ittersum owed his prosperity and status. As Robert and Eleonora had no children, het Nijenhuis passed to her family, the Bentinks. At the end of the 18th century, Adolf Karel van Bentinck extended the estate to the largest size it would reach, 355 hectares. On his death in 1837, he left the castle and land to no fewer than 15 children. The estate was divided up. After an inheritance dispute lasting 14 years, the heirs sold het Nijenhuis to the von Knobelsdorffs, an extremely wealthy German family. Henry von Knobelsdorff radically altered het Nijenhuis in 1896. Two large towers that dramatically increased the living area appeared at the rear of the castle. The daughter of Henry von Knobelsdorff, Adolphine, married A. van Palland. She inherited het Nijenhuis. Adolphine van Palland further embellished the castle at the beginning of the 20th century and spent each summer there. A staff of 10 were in permanent residence, taking care of every detail of the estate. In the 1920s, the revenues generated by the estate no longer offset the increase in costs. The Van Pallands had no choice but to sell up in 1934. The castle came into the hands of an investment company. A period of emptiness and gradual decay then followed. For around 10 years, het Nijenhuis was home to a large order of monks who more or less neglected the castle. In 1958, art collector Dirk Hannema managed to convince the provincial authorities in Overijssel that het Nijenhuis deserved to be given a new use. The castle was restored and purchased at the province's expense. In exchange for exhibiting his collection, Hannema was allowed to live in the castle. Over time, the barns were converted into exhibition areas. Hannema lived in het Nijenhuis until his death in 1984. With his private collection, he established the basis for Museum De Fundatie. In 2004, het Nijenhuis was thoroughly renovated. Since then, the castle and its gardens have been fully open to the public as a museum.